I came out of college in 0506 and was using Subversion a little bit, but also honestly just doing like the underscore two kind of stuff also. And so I was very much learning Git when it was, should I learn Git? Should I learn Mercurial? You know, it was very much the VHS and Betamax, the Blu-ray and HD DVD time frame of like which one's going to win. And I think that GitHub ended up being the killer app that made Git actually just launch into the stratosphere. But of all the GitHub founders, you were like the education guy. Like I was always like Scott Chacon. I mean, you honestly taught me a lot of what I knew for the first decade of my Git skills, which at a certain point you just learn like 7 commands and you kind of understand how it works and you're good to go, which is nice. But gitsem.com, when you guys started GitHub, were you very much like, okay, Scott's going to be, I mean, this is kind of like early days of like tool evangelism or tool education, which is so commonplace now, but was kind of new back then to a certain degree.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually, when I first started at GitHub, when I kind of joined the guys full time, I had been involved in writing documentation and stuff. I think I published the peep code PDF, Git internals peep code PDF before that. And I liked writing about this and trying to
Peep
make
code.
this easy. Yeah. Do you guys remember
Sorry,
peep code? I think
Peep code. Jeffrey Rosenbach.
Oh, you're doing a Jeffrey Rosenbach impersonation.
I'm trying my best.
It's a deep pull.
He has a very specific, nuanced voice. He does.
But yeah, I had this, I had that and I had some screencasts and stuff that I had done for that. And a friend of mine who worked at Google, Sean Pierce, had asked me to come into Google, and they were kind of switching over to Garrett and Git for their Android team. And he had asked me if I'd come in and they could, Google could pay me to like do this tutorial type thing for their Android team. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. And then I decided, that I would join the GitHub guys, and they were like, I was like, can I bring this, income in? Like, I'll just have Google pay GitHub, right? And we'll kind of have this education arm of, me going around and like I have a gig, right? And we'll make it a GitHub thing. And they were like, yeah, if you're coming in with Google as our, your first client, right? And that's fantastic. We'll let you do that, right? So it's actually one of the first things I did for GitHub is I went to Google and I helped teach Git to the Android team. And I ended up doing that a lot, actually. We did a lot of corporate stuff where, and a lot of it, they weren't even using GitHub, right? Like the Android team didn't use GitHub. I don't know, maybe they do now, but like they didn't at the time. Or I did Motorola or Qualcomm, or, there's all these sort of Linux, like Android was going out and people, like all these chip manufacturers and everybody needed to learn Git for Linux stuff. And so that they could work on Android drivers or whatever. And so GitHub actually made a relatively good amount of money of me traveling around and teaching all of these teams how to use Git. But also, I think it helped spread the brand and things. And then I would do lots of conference talks and all of that. So yeah, I really, now I'm doing conference talks and stuff again for Git Butler, right? Like going on stage and talking about mostly Git. It's kind of the same thing, right? I didn't really talk about GitHub most of the time. I would just talk about Git and teach people Git, and then just assume, they'll kind of flow over into GitHub at some point eventually. And it worked out really well for us. And so, but yeah, now I'm getting back on stage and kind of doing that type of thing and teaching Git again. And there's a lot of stuff that's changed in the last 5 years. So it's been kind of fun to do these, you think, Git type talks. But yeah, the world has changed entirely, right? Like now everybody, everybody's grown up with it. It's such a different world than being like, why you should use Git? It's because it's good at branching or something. Everybody's like, I don't even know what to compare it to, right? Like it's almost,
it is the way.
It's ubiquitous.
Exactly.
It really is.
Which begs the question, like, what might be next?